I just wait.
Let's for it now. So why laughing?
Someone is. Let's mute. Let's mute ourselves, please. Let's mute ourselves. So, like, I just pray that Nigeria does not happen to my network till we finish. Let's be praying. Okay, so let me quickly share my screen again. So kindly confirm once you can see it. Can you see it?
No. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, let's continue. So we are finished reading this. So I told you, I said the essence of this particular case and this particular exhibit is that it tells us that this is an internal report. So, and the reason why it is an internal report is that the person you are reporting to, let's take this very, very important. This last responsibility, drafting reports for the group finance director to be submitted to the board on the results of the SBU's financial, operational, and strategic business analysis you have carried out. So your report is to be submitted to the board. And you are only drafting. You are not the one preparing because you are not in the capacity to prepare. You are a junior officer. So anything you are drafting is for your boss to review, and your boss will be the one to finalize it. So that's the essence of this Exhibit 1. So Exhibit 2 is about the Nigerian economic and business environment. We have read that. So we have gone through that. In fact, we have even summarized it. Exhibit 3 is about the Adalat Nigeria Limited, the company you work for. What they do, their geographical location, the products they produce, and the global entity. So then, and also the staff strengths. So then Exhibit 4 is the continuation of Exhibit 3, but this one is talking about the Nigerian entity, Adalat Products Nigeria Limited, not the global, Adalat Global. So then, this one is telling you about the capability of the company in Nigeria, the objective, the vision, the purpose, the goals, the strategic slogan, the market focus, the products they offer, the natural, nutritious, and delicious, which is the strategy of their products, how to win in the market, and sustainability practices and reporting. So that's Exhibit 4. Exhibit 5 is about the financials. So we have actually done this. So what is important for us now, and what you'll be looking out for in your exam, is your unseen aspect. And let me state this. Let's assume that you are in the examination hall and your examiner and the invigilators hands over your question paper to you. What is the first thing you should do? Please listen and listen carefully. If you can write this down, write it down. The first thing you should do is that you should go to your unseen parts. You will see where the unseen is, where it starts from. Go to that unseen and identify Exhibit 6, the first exhibit in the unseen. And the reason why you are doing that is because that is the exhibit that is going to have your requirements. So now let's go to that exhibit, Exhibit 6. So that is where your requirement is, and that is the first thing you should look out for. So you, without reading the exhibit, the Preseen, again in the examination hall, the first thing you should be looking out for is the unseen part and how to identify your requirements. Now, let's go to the requirements. Email from Dare Adedigba. So that's email from, I need to correct this. This is supposed not to be Dare. It should be email from James Olaitan. Wait, let me correct it. Just give me a few minutes. Email from James Olaitan. Okay. So emails from James Olaison to John Odbede, which is you. Strategic direction and plan of our group company. Dated October 5, 2003. So now let's read this out. Someone was reading for us. Who read for us the other time? I like that reading. Abibat, can you read this aspect for us as well so that everyone can follow? Just start with
from James Olaison to John Obede. Subject: strategic direction and plan of our group. Dated 5 October 2023. As you are aware, in the last 3 years, we had to navigate several headwinds, such as the pandemic, Russia-Ukraine war, global supply chain disruptions, rapid increase in interest rates and inflation, and other geopolitical uncertainties. Despite all that, Adalat Group continues to be resilient and nimble. This is testament that the group's strategy is sound and robust. We have made strategic progress for 3 operating groups as they are right at the heart of key global food and consumer trends. You are also aware of our resolve to continue to invest in our capability and capitalize on the key emerging trends of health and wellness. Traceability and sustainability are pushed to be the most differentiated and valued global food and agribusiness by 2030. To achieve this, we will need to continuously measure our performance against key performance metrics as well as our sustainability goals, which we have always reported using the guidance framework of the Global Report Initiative in the Adalat Integrated Impact Statement. Our strategic focus, which is tied to our 2019 to 2024 strategic plan, has been reinforced by our recent decision to execute a wheat milling factory at Tutor and enter into a strategic contract with Bolaka's Food Concept, among others. Please draft for my review a report addressed to the board, which will address 1, an analysis of our financial performance for the years 2019 to 2022. The evaluation should focus on key changes in revenue and cost, as well as in the areas of profitability, liquidity, and professional efficiency. In addition, you have to provide commentary on how the newly issued IFRS sustainability standards will affect our approach to sustainability of reports and disclosure. 2, an assessment of the proposed wheat mill factory in Tutor and advise whether it will help us to move closer to our 2030 vision. You are to also analyze and comment on the strategic contract with Bolaka's Food Concept. Please evaluate any ethical and other commercial issues related to the proposal. I look forward to reading your draft report. James Olaison.
Thank you.
Right.
That's very brilliant. So we have gone through, like I said, the first thing you should do the moment you get your question paper is to go to the unseen and identify the first exhibit in the unseen so that you can know your requirements. And this is the exhibit. So we have read that this is how it will look. Though the facts might be different a bit, but our focus here is the requirement. So now let me just take us through this particular place, which is the requirements. Please draft for my review a report addressed to the board, which will address 1, requirement 1, an analysis of our financial performance for the years 2019 to 2022. Do not forget, you have already been given financial for 2019, 2020, and 2021, 3 years. So from experience, your examiner may add 1 additional year because we are in 2023. Between 2021 and 2023, there is 2022. So your examiner may add additional financial year. So and what we have added that in this our own unseen. So the evaluation should focus on the key changes in revenue and cost, as well as in the areas of profitability, liquidity, and operational efficiency. In addition, you have to provide commentary on how the newly issued IFRS sustainability standards will affect our approach to sustainability reporting and disclosure, as highlighted in exhibit so. What examiner used to do is that in this particular requirement, it used to attach each exhibit that is addressing each of the requirements. So, but I did not do that here, so it might do it. So we are still going to get to those places. Then exhibit 2. Exhibit 2 is having like maybe A and B. That's the style of your examiner. So he used to actually test maybe 2 proposals in exhibit 2, and those 2 proposals will ask you to evaluate any ethical and other commercial issues relating to them. I look forward to reading your draft reports. That is the first thing you should do. Identify your requirements. And the moment you get your requirements, the moment you finish reading this exhibit 6, do not read the remaining exhibits yet. Go to your answer booklet. Please, you should note this. Go to your answer booklet and draft your cover page. Your cover page, it will not take you more than 3 to 5 minutes. That you'll be able to draft that. Let me see. I think I've actually drafted something here. Let me open what I've drafted as the cover page. So this is your cover page. This is how small it should be. There's a normal memo format, a draft report, because it's a draft. If it is on in practice now, you would have actually do a watermark to say, okay, drafts, but it is inside exam and it's a draft, so you are drafting it for your boss. Are you getting it now? So you just say a draft report up here, and you say to, who are you sending it to? Your boss told you that it should be addressed to the board of directors, Adalat Products Nigeria Limited. Subjects. Your subjects will not be in uniform. Draft it the way you like, and just make sure that that subject is having both requirements in them. Assessment, and you can say an assessment of financial performance, sustainability impact, and evaluation of different business proposals of Adalat Products Nigeria Limited. It is coming from your boss. It's either you say it's coming from your boss or from your department. Because you are a junior colleague, you are a junior officer, so you are not in the capacity to send or to write a report directly to the board of directors. So you are drafting for your boss. So it's better you use your boss, or you say it's coming from the group finance department. Then dated 16th of November 2023. This is the date that you are writing the case study. So once you get your requirements page, that's exhibit 6, you know your requirements, come and grab this. This one will not take you more than 5 minutes. You've known that out of the format of case study, cover page is settled. Are you getting it now? Cover page is settled. So you know that, okay, after the cover page, which is, your examiner says, it should contain the whole of your, it should contain your page 1, your first page, which is okay like that. So after the cover page, so the next thing you should do is that, okay, you can now go back. We want to draft our introduction now. So our introduction, 3 things are important. The first thing is the terms of reference. The second thing in your introduction, know that after the cover page, you are leaving page 2 and 3, as we have said earlier. Page 1, cover page. Page 2 and 3, leave it for your executive summary. You will come back to it. Then go to page 4. Go to page 4 and draft your introduction. Your introduction, it should not, at most, it should not be more than a page. And that is even if it should be up to a page. because it's an introduction. You should not stretch it too much. So all these ones that I'm writing here is just to make it, to just add a flesh to it. We are going to read it together and we make sense of this by ourselves now. Are you getting it now? This is how your introduction should look like. In order to save our time, I don't want to be using a board and be writing introduction one after another. So you guys can see it. This is how your introduction will be. The first thing, the format, or let's say the framework for your introduction should be, the first thing is the terms of reference. So terms of reference in the sense that who asked you to do this report and what are you even doing? What brought about this report? That is the terms of reference. Terms of reference and your requirements. That will take this first paragraph. Then after that, it is required that we know about the company, a bit about the company you are reporting on. This is very, very important. It's more important if it's an external report, but there's nothing bad if you do that to an internal report as well, so that someone who is reading, maybe your boss or the board of directors, they can have a glimpse. Originally supposed to know this because it's an internal report. It's the company you work for. You are writing to those people that are internal to the company, the board. They should know a bit. By the time they are reading this, they should have a bit glimpse about the company and what they are into. And that's why I've used these two paragraphs to summarize about the company. And this is just speaks from exhibit 2, I think exhibit 3 and 4. Let's go to that exhibit 3 and 4 of the Preseen. You see, this exhibit 3, 2 pages for exhibit 3, 4 pages for exhibit 4. That is what I've summarized for you here in these 2 paragraphs. Then after that, we now tell us what you have done and how you have carried it out. That is all about your introduction. That is all about your introduction. So I want someone to read this for us so that we can flow together with it. So if you read it, it will become your part and parcel. If you can cram this, please cram it. So the only thing you just need to look out for is perhaps maybe your examiner brings about a different way of asking your requirements. That's all. That's the only thing that you should look out for, because here, I've actually included sustainability impact assessment of APNL. I don't know whether your examiner will ask it. We are thinking aloud what the examiner could ask based on that exhibit 6. This exhibit 6. Okay, now let someone read the introduction for us. However, will you see?
No problem, sir. No, someone else can take it up.
Someone else can take it up. Okay. Oh, yeah. The person that spoke out. Oh, yeah. Read it.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Hello.
someone.
25th.
Hello.
Hello,
Okay, sir, please, can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Okay, I said, can I ask a question?
Yes,
okay,
I said
have
go
two
ahead.
questions. One is on the cover. Okay, one is on the cover page.
Okay.
I want to get your opinion on how we are going to write the dates. Now, following on from what you just said, you said the dates in the cover page is going to be the dates of the exam.
Okay.
Somehow I've checked like previous, maybe 1 or 2 paper, 1 or 2 icon paper. So I found out that the dates are somehow following themselves. For instance, a mail to the person who is going to do this report now might be, let's say, 16th of November. Then there will now be another date from this person's boss to this person's doing the report. Let's say 18th. Is it expected that maybe the consequence, as in bearing in mind that this is a kind of mail he's trying to dish out, or he's taking it to
Okay, I
to
think
mean
I've
that
gotten,
okay,
I've gotten
examination
your
condition.
question. I've gotten your question. Let me quickly address it. So you are trying to say, okay, the mail,
Can I
the
ask another
dates.
one?
Go
Yes.
ahead. Go ahead. Ask the other
Okay,
question.
the second question. The second question. From ICANN textbook. They
Okay.
said marks are awarded for correctly numbered pages.
Okay.
So I don't really know if we should, when giving our papers, we should go ahead to do the numbering, like page 1, page 2. I've seen it like 1 or 2 times, even in the past question. They say marks are awarded for correctly numbered pages. So I don't know if it's applied here, if it's something we should also bring to bear.
Okay. Let me address that. Is that all?
Yes, that's awesome.
Okay. Okay. So, and the last question, let me address that first. So numbers are awarded for correctly, and marks are awarded for correctly numbered pages. So that is before they started giving new case study paper. So the current case study answer booklet is numbered. It's already numbered. So someone who has written case study lately, can one person confirm for me or to us whether what I've said is true? The case study answer booklet is numbered, right?
Yes, sir. It's well numbered.
Okay, so that answers your question. So there's no point in numbering what has already been numbered. So that one is initially, before they started numbering it, I remembered, I think the data I wrote, May 2019. So that was when they started this giving this new paper, and they specifically, the examiner will even state it. In fact, we read it out in the Preseen that the case study answer booklet is special, and that's what you should use. So peradventure, maybe an examiner have given you something and it's not written on it that this is case study answer booklet, answer sheets. You should look out for it. So it's a special, so it's already numbered. That answers your question. So then the second one about the dates. So the reason why I don't want you to be having any on the dates is because, one, the examination dates that you are going to have cannot be after the dates that will be stated in the examination scenario. Cannot be before them, rather. It will still be after those dates. So that's why you should know. So you can, if you like, you can date it after maybe 2 days or a week after the dates that the date of the mail your boss sent to you, which is this particular exhibit. For example, now, this exhibit 6, the mail that is coming from your boss, James Olaitan, to you is dated 5th of October 2023, right? So you can date it any date after this date is okay. Insofar as your boss did not give you any timeline. If your boss did not say, okay, submit it in the next 3 days, or so date, or in the next 1 week. So they have always been silent about when to submit that report. So that's why you should not worry yourself about the date. I hope that answers my question. Just name it. Date it any date after this particular date on the SBCs. And that date cannot be beyond the date of the examination. That's all. I hope that is clear.
Yes, sir, it's clear.
Okay. Let's go to introduction so that we can wrap up with our time and maximize the benefit of this. So can someone read the introduction for us? Somebody else.
Good evening.
Oh yeah, good evening. Yeah, continue reading.
Okay. Sequel to the 25th board meeting held on the 4th of September 2023 and subsequent mails from the managing director, the group finance department is being charged to carry out a detailed assessment of the financial performance of Adalat Products Nigeria Limited in the last 4 years, ending 2022, focusing on the key changes in revenue, cost as they impact profitability, liquidity, and operational efficiency. We are also requested to carry out a sustainability impact assessment of APNL in the light of the new IFRS issued sustainability standard. In our report, we should also evaluate different strategies proposed by the board and to identify any possible broader economic, ethical, and commercial issues associated with them. Adalat International is a global agri-business company that specializes in food, feed, and fiber products. It was established in 2005 and has since grown to operate in 72 countries, supplying food and raw material to over 15,000 customers worldwide. Their products include grain, integrated food and protein, edible oils, rice, specialty grain and seed, cotton, wood products, and rubber. Adalat has operations in Europe, Middle East, East Africa, and West Africa. Adalat Products Nigeria Limited, APNL, was established in Nigeria in 2015. It operates across all 6 geopolitical zones in the country and is involved in sourcing, procurement, grading, processing, and exporting agricultural products such as cotton, sesame, cashew, cocoa, and coffee. APNL also engage in rice farming and milling operations. The company has its headquarters located in Lagos State and works with over 400,000 farmers, providing indirect employment opportunities for the Nigerian population. We have thoroughly examined the attached exhibits and documents provided, carried out a depth analysis on the subject matter under appropriate headings and subheadings, arrived at a necessary conclusion, and consequently preferred reasonable recommendation for the decision of the board.
You can see how simple this is. This introduction should be a free mark. Something that, okay, one should not miss. Because each of the formats or the structure of your case study report has its own mark. So, and that is why it's very important to make sure that those ones that are free to guess, like the cover page and introduction, you should not miss them. So, the first paragraph is talking about the terms of reference, what you are doing, and the requirements of what you are doing. Carried out a detailed assessment of the financial performance of Adalat Products Nigeria Limited is the first requirement. Up to this place, focusing on the key changes in revenue cost as they impact profitability, liquidity, and operational efficiency. Then we are also requested to carry out a sustainability impact assessment. This sustainability impact assessment or sustainability reporting is a new standard that IFRS has issued. In fact, it was released this year, June 2026. We are still going to read out that exhibit that addressed it. So we are only adding it because we feel it's a current issue and your examiner might be looking towards that direction. So that one is about your introduction, then a bit about the company, your company, so that then someone can know, you have a background, then what you have actually done here. So that is about your introduction. Don't forget, what we are trying to do is that we are assuming that we are in examination hall and you get your answer booklet and your question paper. The first thing you should do, go to your exhibit 6, the exhibit that has your requirements, identify your requirements. After you have done that, then go to the cover page, draft your cover page. That should not take you more than 3 to 5 minutes. And after your cover page, you are done with page 1. Leave page 2 and 3 for your executive summary. Then go to your page 4 and draft your introduction. So after you have drafted your introduction, then you can now start with requirement 1. What is requirement 1? Let's go back and read.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Okay,
Is that
please.
a question?
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, concerning the introduction.
Okay.
What is your thought on the outline, like the report content? Like cover
So,
page,
so
summary.
this is an introduction. This particular one, in fact, thank God that I even highlighted it, as giving you a wrap of what your content is. Are you getting it now? So I've given you a wrap of what your content is. So to me, I prefer to do it like this, to write it in a wording. Some people will be like, okay, they will highlight it and say, oh, yeah, introduction, summary, body of the report, first requirement, second requirement, conclusion, and recommendation. I've actually summarized it here in order to save your time. So irrespective of how you present what you are presenting, what matters to your examiner is the content of what you are writing. Are you getting it now? And that's one of the reasons why ICANN do not provide. That's the reason anyway. I don't know. To my opinion, I don't think whether that reason is good enough not to be providing reports for people, for us in their Pathfinder. It's because they have said, okay, people have different ways of writing their reports. So let them use different ways. Insofar as what the examiner is looking for in terms of content is there, you are good to go. So you might have come across maybe any other solution that they're writing 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Me, I don't do that. So I don't do that. So, and to me, I don't think it has in your case study study pack, the examiner did not mention that you should put 1.1, 1.2. They did not stress it. So anyone who is doing that is okay. You that you are writing it like this as well, you are also fine. So I hope that answers your question.
What
Okay. Someone is raising his hand. Abdul Shaibu, I will attend to your question. And the last person that asked a question now, please, what's your name? Oh?
Blessing Kalezai.
Okay, Blessing. Oh yeah, ask your question.
Yes, sir. So what about table of content? Because from the center I attended, what they do is immediately after the cover page, they come up with table of content. But from what we are doing here,
so that's what I think that's what I just addressed. So there are 1001 ways to write a report. Are you getting it now? The examiner, your examiner in the what is it called? Case study pack did not mention table of contents. It did not mention table of contents. So let me quickly go to the study pack and see the formats that your examiner give, so that you can have. So the examiner did not mention it. So if anyone is doing it, the person will not be penalized. The only issue is that if there is no mark designated for table of contents, they won't mark it. That's all. So it's not an issue because the examiner did not mention table of contents. So there's no point in bringing it in. I hope that answers your question. I'm looking for CS study pack. Okay. Let me quickly go through. Let me quickly check something. So, Blessing.
Yes,
table
sir.
Table of content is not in your case study format. So if you include it, fine. The only issue is that the examiner may not award mark to it. So that's one thing I mentioned. You can see different ways, different reports. So some people have come and say, yeah, table of content, but the examiner did not mention it. So there will be no mark for it. So don't bother. So just keep it simple. Okay, and someone raised his hand the other time. Who was that?
No, Mr. Aremu.
Yes.
We just want to suggest that we postpone all questions till the end of this thing. Otherwise, we keep going back and back and we'll not come out with anything true.
Thank you so much.
Reserve our questions till the end of my thing.
Yes, I support that.
That's a very good one. I wanted to even say that. Okay. So let's move on. So we are moving on to the body of the report now. You have addressed your cover page. You have left pages for your executive summary. We are still going to come back to executive summary. So then you have done your introduction in page 4. Please do not let your introduction be more than a page. I expect it not to be up to that page 4. As not to exhaust that page 4. But if at all you want to write something, please make sure you summarize it. Do not stretch it beyond a page, your introduction. Okay, now let's go to the body of the report. So the body of the reports, you can start with any requirement, but I will advise to start with requirement 1. And from our requirements page, requirement 1 is the assessment of the financial performance of Adalat Products Nigeria Limited. So this is where you have to make use of your financial statements, Exhibit 5, and any other additional year that you are given in the unseen, which is Exhibit 7. Exhibit 7 has introduced year 2002 financial statements. Are you with me? So, which is Exhibit 7. So with this, you can carry out your financial statement analysis, which can either be a trend, a combination of trend and ratio, or ratio analysis, or depends if your examiner gives you any metric to use. The examiner can come here in this your requirements and say they have given you any financial indicator. So any financial indicator that they have given you, you may use that. So let me see. What I've done here is that I have done some appendices here. It's part of the materials you are going to get after the class so that you can use it to practice. So I've done like 4 exhibits so that your time will be maximally utilized in the examination hall. I've mentioned it that as you do your appendices, reports, don't wait till you finish all the calculations before you start reporting. So now we are starting with requirement 1. So we are going to be doing some necessary calculations as I've displayed, as you can see in your screen now. We are going to be doing some necessary computation, and as we do, we'll be reporting on them. That's what we'll do. So now let's start. Appendix 1, trend analysis. The normal calculation for trend analysis is that your new minus your old will give you your absolute difference in number. If you divide it by your old and multiply by 100, you will get it in percentage form. So please pick your calculator now. You will realize that what I've done here is that I've said new minus old divided by old. Please note what you are dividing with. Always divide by the old number, not the new number. Are you getting it now? Always divide by the old number, not the new number. And also present your trend in percentage formats so that it can be easy for you to report while you are writing a report on them. It is not necessary for you to keep absolute formats, absolute number, and also keep the percentage. Just percentage is enough. Are you getting it now? So let's go back. We are having 2019, 2020, 2021, and in the unseen, we are having 2022. So we are having 4 years. And trend is used to be calculated the difference between 1 year and another, making 2019 the base year for 2020. So it will be 2020 figure minus that of 2019 divided by that of 2019. So if you are picking your calculator now, it will be 35,820. It is quoted in million minus 32,992 divided by 32,992 multiplied by 100. That's what you are doing. And that's what we have done here. And I've stated it 2020 because that difference will materialize in 2020 year. That's why you are writing it like this. So someone will be asking, we have 4 years now. Why is our trend 3 years? It's because we are looking at the difference between 1 year and another, 1 year and another, then another 1 year and another. So 2019 and 2020, you are going to state for 2020. 2020 and 2021 difference will be in 2021 here. Then 2021 and 2022 will be here. That is what we have done. Please, can someone test the first one for us? I wanted to actually save our time. Otherwise, I would have actually displayed my board so that I can work this out. But it's something that is easy. And that's why I've written this particular formula here, new minus old divided by old. Because, and the reason why I've actually written it out with and, I want you to write it out. One, it will be a waste of time, me typing this, when you will not type in your examination hall. You will write with your hand. So after this class, you will get this solution, both the appendix and the reports, and I expect you to write it out with your hand. So we have seen by the numbers now that the first, between 2019 and 2020, we are having an increase in revenue or in sales of goods and services of 8.57%. And between 2020 and 2021, we're having 31.13%. And between 2021 and 2022, mind you, 2022 is not in your Preseen. No. I've sent the unseen that you will see your 2022. And this is it, Exhibit 7. And that's what the examiner may do for you. So between 2021 and 2022, the revenue has increased by 21.32%. Once you have done this first one, you know what you are going to do? Go back. What you will do is that your answer booklet, set aside 10 last 10 pages for your appendices, which is 5 sheets, and start your appendices from there. So your report should come before your appendices. That's what it means. In case study exam, reports will come first. So the last 10 pages or 5 sheets, starts your appendices from there. So the remaining should be enough for your reports. The remaining pages before should be enough for your reports. So by the time you finish this, go back to where you have written this, an assessment of financial performance of Adalat. Then, having gone through the financial results as provided, we have arrived at the following analysis. Our analysis is strictly carried out using some selected financial ratios suitable for use, trend of financial figures, and some common side analysis, sales of goods and services. So let's see how we have actually, some people, they know how to calculate this trend, but how to write it out, reports, is their issue. Don't wait until you finish all those trends or the appendices before you start. So we have done, let's assume that we have done 1, sales of goods, or maybe 2, other income. Come and report on them. So let's see how I've reported here. And that's what you should work yourself through. Sales of goods and services has shown consistent growth over the 4-year period, with a slight increase of 8.56 between 2019 and 2020, comma, a significant increase of 31.13 from 2020 to 2021, and 21.32% increase in 2022 compared to 2021 figure, or compared to 2021 financial year. That is how to make sense of the numbers. So these numbers you have here, 3 numbers, 8.57 or 8.56 as case may be, this is due to approximation. Me, I've used Excel in my analysis. 31.13% and 21.32%. It does not make sense to the management or to your board. This is what your board will be reading. It is this commentary. And that's why the report carries 90 marks, because this is what makes sense in real world. So this now, you have made sense of the numbers you have calculated. So putting this now, that's why I've always mentioned, emphasize that as you do your appendices, report on them. If I were you, as we are doing this, pick your Bible and try and be writing out some things. Though you will still get it in full. So, but this is how it works. Now, we have stated what the number is and how they have changed, whether it increased or it decreased. We have stated it. Are you getting it now? Now, you now need to mention what has actually led to the increase in revenue. And that's very, very important. So now, what led to the increase? This indicates that APNL has been performing well in terms of revenue generation. And this favorable performance could be attributed to wide market coverage. Wide market coverage, comma, large market share, comma, and the growing agricultural sector in Nigeria. The company may have experienced higher demand for its products or services, leading to increased sales revenue. This could be due to various factors, such as effective marketing strategies, new products introduction, or an expanding customer base. It makes sense like this. And this is what the examiner, this is what they give you more mark. The examiner will just take this. Yes, you have reported on sales of goods and services. So then you go back. Other income. How does it impact? How does it move? So from this, our Preseen, where is it? We have realized that other income have reduced between 2019 and 2020. 2019, 188, it reduced to 136. You will see it, that this thing is reducing. In fact, without punching your calculator, you will know whether it is reducing. You only press your calculator to know the difference and to present it in percentage formats. Between 2020 and 2021, it has further reduced. And that is what the numbers here is telling us, that we are having a reduction of 27.76%. That's why it is a minus. Between 2019 and 2020, a further reduction of 43.13% between 2020 and 2021. Then you have an increase in 2022 of 27.35%. You have computed that. Come and report on it. Go to your reports and bullet it, other income. Other income has been declining, showing a decrease of 27.76 between 2019 and 2020 and 43.13% in 2021 compared to 2020, but a rise of 27.35% between 2021 and 2022. Other income sources, such as rental income, investment income, or gains from non-core business activities, may have contributed to the higher overall income in 2022. This could be as a result of successful investments or favorable market conditions. Are you noting it? This is very, very important. Not just reporting about the numbers. You also tell your examiner some of the reasons. What could cause this? Whether it is increasing, what could cause it? If it is reducing, what could cause it? So it is very, very important to state this. And it makes your analysis to be more sensible to the examiner. Are you getting it now? So let's go to cost of sales. Cost of sales, you have reported it. Okay, let's say you have calculated the trend between 2019 and 2020. So 2020 figure is 32,663. Let's see it here. 32,663 minus 30,053 divided by 30,053 multiplied by 100. That is what gave us 8.68. And that is an increase in cost of sales or cost of goods sold. A further increase in between 2020 and 2021. So 2020, we have 32 million or 32 billion. Let's say 22 billion. 32 billion. Then it has increased to 43 billion because it is quoted in million. And this is 1,000. So that is an increase, and that is what we are having. What is the percentage increase? The percentage increase in cost of goods sold between 2020 and 2021 is 31.98%. And between 2021 and 2022 that you have in your unseen, it has moved to 51,000. Let's say maybe 1,000 or million or billion. And that is what we are reporting as 20.15%. Once you have calculated this in your exam, you come to your report and report on it. And that's what makes sense. It's not just calculating numbers. It is the reporting. And that's the analysis in case study. Cost of sales, or let's say cost of goods sold. Let me change it to what we have in your cost of goods sold. You can now say the cost of goods sold has increased in line with the growth in sales, with an 8.6% in 2020 compared to 2019, 31.98 growth in 2021 compared to 2020, and 20.15% increase in 2022. You have stated the increments, you have stated it in commentary form, which made more sense than just stating the numbers like this. So now, your examiner wants to actually understand why this increments. And that is what this particular part is talking about. He said the higher cost of goods sold can be attributed to factors such as increased raw material prices, higher manufacturing costs, or changes in production processes. It could also be as a result of an increase in sales volume requiring high production outputs, which makes sense. The higher your sales, the higher cost of sales. You want to sell more, you need to buy more raw materials. You purchase more raw materials that will be used in the production of what you are selling. So if you want to sell more, you buy more. So you are telling the examiner that you know what you are doing, and you are a seasoned analyst, and you are telling him the reason why cost of sales should be moving in tandem with the growth in sales. And that makes sense. So then, because we want to maximize our time, I did not do trend for depreciation and amortization. I did not do for net gain from changes in fair value or this. I only did in other expenses because that has more numbers than the value of biological assets. But you can do a trend, a calculation of trend on depreciation and amortization in your examination. But what I've done here in the analysis is that I've reported both of them together to say depreciation, amortization, and other expenses. And I've analyzed it together to say an analysis of these expenses displays that other expenses have shown a moderate increase year on year with a 1.85%, 17.85% in 2020, 5.75% in 2021, and 15.757% in 2022. So also depreciation and amortization, an increase of 12.11% between 2019 and 2020, 11.75% in 2021, and 15.33% increase in 2022 compared to the number in 2021. You have analyzed it, and you will get mark for that, straight up. Now, the increase in depreciation and amortization, you are telling the examiner what could affect the increase. So the increase in depreciation and amortization could be as a result of companies' investment in new equipment, plant infrastructure, or intangible assets. It could indicate a need for capital expenditure to modernize or expand operations. The rise in other expenses may be due to various, they did not tell us what other expenses stands for because we do not have notes to the accounts. So perhaps, maybe if the examiner gives us a note to the account, it can tell us what other expenses stands for, but we do not, so we're only assuming here. So we're not saying the rise in other expenses may, you're using may, be due to various factors such as increased administrative costs, research and development, marketing expenses, or one-time expenditure for restructuring or acquisition. So it may be. So let me just remove this restructuring and acquisition. And you can still leave it because such costs, if it is a one-time and it is not a long-term cost, it will be expensed. So it may not be capitalized. So that's why we are only assuming what would cause the increase in those costs. So finance income and finance costs. So we have calculated some things on it. And we have calculated the increase. Finance income is fluctuating. It increased in 2020, reduced in 2021, and increased back in 2022. Looking at the numbers, finance costs, that one has increased constantly. Profit before tax and profit for the year. So that's, like I said, do not calculate trend for your statement of financial position. You won't have that time. I have my reasons. Because you need to do more of reporting than calculating. There's no point in you calculating all the trends and not having time. All these things that I've mentioned here, if you have time to write them out in your exam, thumbs up for you. Because you may not have that time. We are typing this. By the time you put your Bible down, you are writing it out, you will discover the pages you have covered. So that's why I've always mentioned that your trend analysis, limit it to income statement numbers alone and calculate selected ratios. Go to the ratios and calculate few ratios. So in my own appendix 2, I've calculated ratios, profitability ratio, just maybe 2, liquidity ratio 2. Then solvency, we have 2 ratios, maybe efficiency ratios, inventory days, receivable days, or payable days. You can calculate that. But more important than calculation, reports. I repeat, reports is very, very important. So you can see the way we have actually analyzed the finance income and finance costs. Finance income had fluctuated, but overall has remained relatively stable. It increased by 16% between 2019 and 2020, reduced by 10.21% in 2021, and showed a significant increase by 39.99% in 2022. Finance costs have shown a slight increase from 2019 to 2020. Okay, we've not stated the percentage. Let's state the percentage increase. The percentage increase of finance cost here is 17.62. Let's state it. A slight increase. 17.62 is not slight. Let me remove that slight. I've shown an increase of 17.62% from 2019 to 2020. Then this one is telling me that it remains stable, but we don't want to use that it remains stable because there's a little bit of an increase, which is 2.29. So don't let us say it remains stable. Increased by 2.21% in 2021, then increased substantially with a 61.12%. Increased substantially by 61.12% in 2022. So you have reported on this. So you are not telling the examiner what could cause the increase. The increase in finance income could be as a result of higher interest income from investments or an increase in dividend income from the company's holdings. The rise in finance costs may indicate that the company has increased its borrowing or taken on more debts. This could be for finance expansion plans, acquisitions, or working capital needs. It could also suggest a higher interest rates or changes in companies' credit ratings. So you have stated all the reasons that could cause a finance cost to be rising up. The first reason is that it may be that the company is borrowing more to expand, or they need more to finance their working capital, or there is an higher interest rate, which is a monetary policy rate change. It can happen, or there is a change in company's credit rating. So they rate the company low than before. So it can affect the finance cost. And once you have done that, so you come to the last two, which is the profits before tax and profits for the year. And that's what I've done here, profit figures. So I've just analyzed the figures here. And it shows that the figure, it declined between 2019 and 2020 by 33%, but it increased significantly from 736 million to 220, from 222 million. Let's see it here. You can see how the profit moved. It declined between 2019 and 2020, but it moved, profit before tax, it moved from 222 million to 736 million in 2021. Then it further moved from our unseen here, Exhibit 7. From that amount, what is the amount? From 736 million to 1.3 billion. So, and that's what we have reported here in your exhibit here. It's 8.3%, 231.89%. The same thing applies to profits for the year. Both of them have moved. They have increased significantly. So just leave all these owners of the company, non-controlling interest, leave those ones. You don't need to, you do not need to write or to calculate trend on them because of your time. So just to, you may limit your trend to this for the sake of time, because you are going to report more than calculating. So then do a bit of selected ratios. Then once you have done the ratios, you can see ratios we're having for the 4 years, because ratios will be calculated for individual years. Ratios will be calculated for individual years. So make sure you note your formulas. Formulas should not be your issue at this level. So what should be your headache at this level is analysis, or how to interpret, which we are doing now. So, and once you have done that, you have finished your analysis. So let's go back to our requirements. In these requirements, your examiner asks you to provide a commentary on how the newly issued IFRS sustainability standards will affect our approach to sustainability reporting. And that's what I've written out for you here. Adalat Sustainability Standards Compliance. So I've just highlighted 5 points to state that Adalat is complying on the newly issued IFRS Sustainability Reporting Standard. We don't know whether your examiner will mention this. We are only assuming. So if he mentions it, just few points, just write it. Even if your examiner does not specifically state it in the requirement, you can just write few things. You are going to get a mark for that. That shows that you are addressing other issues as far as financial implication or financial impact is concerned. So I want someone to read this for me so that we can make the class interactive. Then after this, we are going to conclude on our requirement 1, I recommend. Then we will go to executive summary on requirement 1. So the reason why I'm taking this approach is that you do not have all the time in the examination hall. You have only 40 hours, 15 minutes for reading. And what it means is that you need to be on top of your game. Read as much as you can, then write as fast as you can. So what you should do is that after your cover page, you leave 2 pages for your executive summary. You have done your introduction. Then you have done your requirements 1. Once you finish requirements 1, conclude. The conclusion of requirements 1 is the summary of your body. Then recommendation is the solution you are providing to the conclusions. Once you have done that, you know what you are going to do? You go to your executive summary and summarize requirements 1 before you start your requirement 2. And the reason is because you are working smart. Yoruba people will say, the day that someone learn how to do something is the day he's supposed to learn how to be fast on it. Or just about it's very important. That day starts. Make sure you do not waste your time. Once you finish your requirement 1, go to your page 2 and 3 and summarize requirement 1. While you leave pages for the summary of requirement 2. That's why we say 2 pages. Because a page may not be enough for that summary. You have written like maybe 5 or 10 pages for all this analysis. So you want to summarize, so you should be able to summarize it. Tell the executives that, oh, this is a summary of the report in few pages. But before we go to that, I want us to actually pick something from this sustainability standard compliance so that it can become part and parcel of us. Can someone read out this for me? Somebody else. I think let's use another person this time around. Maybe a man should read for us.
Adalat sustainability standard compliance. Can you hear me?
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir. Based on the provided information, it appears that Adalat has a strong commitment to sustainability and incorporates sustainability practices in its business operations. Some key points to highlight in relation to the IFRS sustainability reporting standard are: bullet 1, integration of sustainability. Adalat considers sustainability as a key enabler of a strategic plan and believes it should sit in the heart of the business. This aligns with the expectations of the IFRS sustainability reporting standard, which emphasizes the integration of sustainability throughout an organization operation, setting ambitious goals. Adalat set ambitious sustainability goals and milestones that are intended to strengthen the company, improve farmer livelihoods, increase community well-being, and regenerate the environment. This reflects the focus on material impact and long-term sustainability performance advocated by the IFRS sustainability reporting standard. Number 3, supply chain sustainability. Adalat Sustainability Insight platform for agricultural supply chains aim to provide customers with a single view across sustainability parameters and insight to improve them. This aligns with the objective of the IFRS sustainability reporting standard to enhance transparency and disclosure on supply chain sustainability.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I think we still have more points here. Yeah, continue reading.
Okay. Supply chain sustainability.
Okay, can you still see the screen?
Framework.
Okay, reporting framework. Adalat uses the Global Reporting Initiative, GRI, as a guidance framework for sustainability reporting. GRI is a widely recognized standard for sustainability reporting, and its use demonstrates Adalat's commitment to consistent and comparable reporting, incorporating stakeholder management and engagement in its reporting. Also aligned with the IFRS sustainability reporting standards, emphasis on considering stakeholders and materiality. Multi-capital accounting. Adalat takes a multiple capital approach to reporting, including manufactured, human, social, natural, intangible, and intellectual capital. The development of the Adalat Integrated Impact Statement, read OBIS in brackets, as a tool for multi-capital accounting showcases the comprehensive approach to measuring and disclosing the organization's impact which aligns with the IFRS sustainability reporting standards, focus on comprehensive reporting of sustainability impacts. Overall, Adalat sustainability strategies, practices, and reporting efforts align with the principles and objectives of the IFRS sustainability reporting standards in terms of commitments to sustainability integration, goal setting, supply chain, sustainability, reporting framework, and multi-capital accounting.
Okay.
Conclusion.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
Okay.
much. So, I'm just trying to address the issue of those people that are not able to join. The good thing is that we are going to make the recording available. Can't even call the person that, but at least the recording will be made available. Let's just continue so that at least we'll benefit from the class and we will not disrupt it. So this is just, like I said, this sustainability, we don't know whether your examiner will ask it. So if he asks, you can just try to read this a bit and provide that in 5 points. Just write a bit on it and you are good to go. So then after that, you conclude. What are you concluding on? You are concluding on all these points that you have raised. Revenue, what has happened to revenue? It has been increasing. Come here and say, from our analysis, we realize that the revenue has been increasing over the year, between 20, or let's say over the 4 years. There is no one way to write this. So I'm going to conclude on them better. By the time you are going to get this material, you will understand them better. So anyone can conclude. Just it depends on how you can, how fast or how better you can write. So what you are concluding is that this particular place here that I've highlighted, you are concluding on it, maybe in 2 lines or in 3 lines. Don't let it be too much. So then the conclusion should also be in tandem with the recommendation. For example, conclusion number 1 here, the company revenue has witnessed a growth rate a significant growth over the years. Are you getting it now? Over the years. So you just say that, okay, APNL should continue to maintain a steady growth in revenue. Recommendation 1 for conclusion number 1 here, as you are bulleting it. Same thing, second conclusion, we have the second recommendation. So that's how you write it. That's how you will write your conclusion and recommendation. That is how you will write your conclusion and recommendation. So after you finish your conclusion and recommendation, this one is the second requirement, which will have maybe A and B, depending on what your examiner brings. Before you go to that, come to your executive summary here and summarize what you have done in requirement 1. So what is the format of your executive summary? So it's going to have these headings. First is the scope. The second is the assumptions, major findings, conclusions. You can add up the conclusions for both requirement 1 and requirement 2. So which means is that this one we have 6 conclusions. First 3 conclusions for requirement 1, the other 3 conclusions for requirement 2. You can do it this way. Or you can say conclusions for requirement 1, then recommendation for requirement 1 will follow it. Then you can now say conclusion for requirement 2, recommendation for requirement 2 will follow it. Anyhow you can do it. Me, I adopt this method because I think it's simpler. But if maybe the issue you'll be having is that you don't know the number of lines you will leave for the conclusions of requirement 2, so you may bring the recommendation of requirement 2 to follow it immediately. Are you getting it now? So these are the headings. You have the scope. The scope is the summary of your introduction. This introduction, that is what will be the summary, because this is executive summary. The summary of it is this. The summary of it is this report provides a detailed assessment of financial performance of Adalat Products Nigeria Limited for the last 4 years, ending in 2022, using some selected financial ratios and trend of financial figures. It also provides an evaluation of business proposals before the board, taking into consideration broader economic and commercial and attention. Tools of analysis used include selected financial ratios and trend of financial numbers, investment appraisal techniques, that will be for requirement 2, and contribution analysis. All calculations can be found in the attached appendices. So this one, you have summarized your introduction. So then, after that, you state your assumptions. It is assumed that all facts and financial data used in this report are not expected to change significantly, and all macroeconomic indices and socioeconomic factors are not expected to alter negatively. That's your assumption. Major findings. This first paragraph for major findings of the body. This second paragraph, that's for requirement 1. You leave a space for that of requirement 2. Assuming that you're in examination or you've not done requirement 2, you just leave space. Your examiner will not penalize you. Maybe like, okay, you have left a gap. Peradventure, you are able to do requirement 2 and you are coming back to it. You will write it there. So you move to conclusion. Conclude on the requirement 1 you have done. Leave like maybe 6 lines, 7 lines for conclusion of requirement 2. Summary of the conclusion. You know, the conclusions might be many. It might be like maybe 5 or 6. Just pick 3. It's enough because it is summary, the major ones. Then bring the recommendation. Then the last one here is the reservation and limitation. So this is where your professional skepticism will come in. The management accounts provided to us were not audited because we are not told whether it is audited. This could limit the level of reliance to be placed on our analysis for the business proposals. We would appreciate if the basis of assumptions underlying the data is critically evaluated in order to avoid serious deviation from reality. We have relied on the accuracy, all this one is just a reservation. You are placing your reservation. You are placing reservation. So, and that's all about your executive summary, and that's how you should go about it. Once you finish your requirement 1, summarize it. You now go to your requirement 2. So let's see some of the numbers, some of the figures we are going to use for our requirement 2. Exhibit 8, the new IFRS sustainability reporting standards. We have actually done this. We have used this in our requirement 1. This one is telling us. Yes?
Sorry to interrupt you. Before I move to requirement 2,
no, we have not moved. We have not moved.
Okay.
I just want to highlight. I want to look at the. I'm going to attempt like 3 questions. I'll attend to 2 questions before we move to requirement 2.
Can I ask
so ask your
now?
question. Ask your question.
Okay, so I noticed that you, for your appendices, you did calculation for both ratio and trend, but your discussion was only on trend. I don't know if that's appropriate or we are just trying to.
No, so it's because we have not actually finished. We have not finished this. So it's because trend comes first, so I've reported on trend. So this liquidity position, financial solvency would be for ratios. So you will still get them. You will get them. So I'm just trying to, you will get them. Is that your question?
Yes.
So you will report on the ratios as well.
All right.
Report on, but don't do too much ratios. You know, we have plenty of ratios. Just few ones, maybe 2 or 3. Under profitability, 2 is enough under liquidity. Just do gearing ratios, financial solvency. So all those things. Just don't do too much calculation. Just more of reporting, less calculation. So before we move to the requirement 2, I want us to actually look at those our suggested unseen exhibits for requirement 2 purpose. So before we move on to that, we have done, assuming that, okay, under examination condition, we started this by 4, and this is almost 2 hours. So I expect that in the exam, you should have actually reached a reasonable level for your requirement 1 and be drafting your executive summary for requirement 1. Let me attend to questions. So any question on how to go about your requirement 1? I've mentioned this over and over. Yes, good afternoon. Abi, good evening.
Good evening, Robert. Okay, I have a question. Not really
Go ahead.
So this question and limitation you're talking about, can we, is it like ethical issues and all these ethical issues, the activities of auditors and all? Should we add it to it? Is it part of it?
Ethical issue.
Yeah.
Did you say ethical issue?
Yes, please.
So ethical issue, like I mentioned here. So ethical issue is usually linked to requirement 2. Your examiner does not usually mention it in requirement 1. And if you read the requirement 2, you will see the last statement here. Please evaluate any ethical and other commercial issues relating to the proposals. Do you get?
Yeah.
So it's with ethical issues and any commercial issues will be relating to the proposals in requirement 2. So we will address them. Okay, two more questions before we move to requirement 2.
Okay, I think I wanted to ask, and I said maybe what she said. I think that's where external analysis like PESTEL and SWOT might come in the requirement too.
Yes, if the examiner asks. If the examiner does not mention anything like model or business analysis, do not bother. Do not bother. So if the examiner, so just do what the examiner. So what we have seen is that in the past few diets now, the examiner, they have actually moved from models. So, and they have been constantly telling students that it's not compulsory if we do not ask you to do. So if the examiner asks, yes, model, we will do it. But if he does not ask, even if the question has some information about one model or the other, do not bother. Just leave it. Any other question?
Hi, I have a question.
Okay.
These biological assets on the financial reports that was given, are we to do trend on it or ratio? Because I think that's what's quite new to some of us, or we don't really have questions about. So we really need to know how to handle it.
So it doesn't matter. The biological assets is an asset. It's just like a normal assets. It's like, can we call it maybe like an inventory? It's just like an inventory that is to for companies in the agricultural business. So it's like their own raw material. That's what biological asset means in another name. So there's nothing difficult. There's nothing serious there. So we have utilized it in calculating some of our ratios. So there's no ratio separate for biological assets. So there's no need for you saying, I want to calculate trend on the biological asset. It doesn't matter. So if peradventure you have time and you want to calculate trend on maybe statement of financial position items, you can calculate trend on maybe total assets or total non-current assets or total current assets. If time permits, you may say, okay, the biological asset moved, but you need to save your time. That's all. So there's nothing special. Just leave that down. There's nothing special that you have to do on the biological assets. It's just their normal business. So it's like their own raw material. That's how it is. Gerard is raising his hand. Ask a question.
Okay, so I want to, on the Preseen,
okay.
Exhibit 4, under reporting, under Exhibit 4, they say Adalat believe that, I want to know whether what I'm reading now is exactly what we just did. I just want to clarify myself. You said Adalat believe that sustainability should sit at the heart of the business. It is one of the four key elements. Then I say we report against our sustainability goal in our annual report in summary. While detailed sustainability report is prepared as a standalone report on a yearly basis under Exhibit 4. So I want to know whether it's the same thing we just did now.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing we have done here. It's the same thing.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
It's the same thing. So I think hello, okay, let me take this. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about the unseen for now, but the standalone reports mentioned in the Preseen case study, there is no report about it. Should in case even in the unseen that no report is given about it, can someone take it as limitation and reservation?
Which one? What is the standalone? Do you mean the financial statements?
The sustainability report.
The sustainability
report yes, the standalone report as mentioned.
Okay. So you said if the examiner does not mention it, Abi, in the unseen, Abi, that can we report on it? No, so
yes, can we comment on it as limitation?
No, it's not a limitation. They've already mentioned it here.
Okay.
So they've already mentioned it's not part of the limitation. Because these are not numbers. So these are like activities that they are carrying out and how they are being sustainable in terms of people, the planet, and the social impacts that they are having on the people where they are dealing, they are carrying out their business. So that's just it. So there's no that's not limitation. I don't see it as a limitation. Okay, someone is raising his hand. I can see 3%. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, well done, sir. I want to ask a question under Exhibit 4, sir.
Okay.
So to achieve this goal, we have set the following targets.
Okay.
Are we to compare in our reports return on equity greater than or equals to 12% from 2021?
Yes, let me go back to that place. This Abi?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So it will make sense to compare what we have with this. So ROE, they say it should be either greater or equals to 12% from 2021. EBITDA, that is greater 15% from 2023. So any result we have in 2021, we have to mention it. So I'm going to report that in my once I finish my report so that people can get it.
All right.
So and net debt and this thing. So which means this particular ratio, since they have mentioned it here, so you have to consider these ratios in the ratios you are calculating so that you report on them.
All right, sir. Thank you.
So we will consider it.
Sorry, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Please, is it recommended that when we're doing our ratio, because of this highlights that they brought in, return on equity and net debt, we should just save our focus our ratio analysis on these three ratios?
No, you can't focus it on it. So the only issue is that this one must be there. If the examiner does not ask you to limit it, then it means it is not necessary that you limit it. You may do some other ratios. But these ones, you just have to mention them. Yes?
Hello, sir. Please, sir,
yes,
under our executive summary, is it necessary we include the sustainability, like a sort of summary of the sustainability report? Just
so
in case we are asked in the exam.
That summary, you just put it under your major findings. You understand?
Okay.
Just under major findings. So you won't because if you say you will summarize the financial analysis, if time permits you, maybe the requirement 2, and now you want to also summarize the sustainable, just mention maybe 2 lines on it. So stay okay, they are sustainable based on the activities. Just 2 or 3 lines. So you won't stretch it. And you can mention maybe one recommendation or one conclusion on their sustainability impacts, or two. I think one is enough because it's just one issue. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Bambi is raising his hand. Go ahead.
And then regarding the professional skepticism, is it necessary we probably at least ship it in during the, like, probably we are calculating our ratio and then we are shipping it in?
That's what is here. This is your professional skepticism. The second to the last part of your executive summary is your professional skepticism. This. So you won't say it, you won't write it as professional skepticism. This is what it is being written as in practice. Reservation and limitation. So the content is your professional skepticism. You are skeptical about this. That's why you're mentioning it. Is that taken?
Okay, sir.
So you won't write the heading and say professional skepticism. I'm not sure you will see any report outside there that they now say professional skepticism. Nobody will do that. So what you will see is reservations and limitations. That's a professional skepticism, and that's what to give you that mark. You are good to go. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
You are welcome. So I think it's almost 6. So
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
I have a question. Okay.
Let's take this
I
before we
just
now.
want to find, based on the former reporting of the previous diets. Is it okay to quote the exhibit while you're reporting in the main report?
Yes, it's okay. It's okay. You will state the exhibits, and you can refer to the exhibits, and you also refer to the appendices.
Okay.
It's okay. There's nothing bad in it.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Sir, going by the time, can we just be attending to questions every 30 minutes? We have a long way to go, and the thing is even looking by now. We still have to sit down and study it again.
And study it,
so,
yeah.
Sir,
so what I just want to do, guys, I just want to run us through the unseen exhibits. The requirement 2 exhibits in the unseen. So we have looked at the exhibit 6. That's where your requirement will be. Exhibit 7 is your income statement for 2022, your financial statement for 2022. Exhibit 8 is the IFRS sustainability disclosure standard. Exhibit 9 is Adalat integrated impact statements. Both exhibits is what we have used for our sustainability impact reporting in our solution. So exhibit 10 to 12 will be useful for our requirement too. So let's move to there. So proposed wheat meal plants in Ota. It depends. Your examiner may come and say rice plants or something. It depends on what they come. Me, I've only used wheat. Your examiner may come and use something else. With an understanding of the dynamics in the market and the opportunities that abound us as an agribusiness, it is believed that the market in Nigeria is a growth stage with lots of potentials and can successfully invade the industry. With proximity to the commercial hub of the country, the most populous Lagos State, Ota is a very strategic location to place our wheat mill factory. Wheat is the most used food raw material all over the world. Global consumption of wheat saw a slight increase over the last year, with just under 793 million metric tons consumed in 2021/2022 marketing year. This marked an increase from around 782.5 million metric tons of wheat consumed worldwide in 2020/2021. One of the major drivers of this vision is the ever-growing demand or supply gap for wheat in Nigeria. Since inception, our available supply has not been able to meet the ever-growing demand for wheat. So this is just creating a background for the necessary information you need for requirement 2, the project cost. They have given you all the project cost, land acquisition, the metric ton per year, site cleaning, equipment, machinery, licensing, legal fees, and other registration, packaging and branding equipment, working capital. Then I've given you the direct costs, revenue projection, with huge construction work by the government and developers set to commence in order to provide the housing infrastructure in team's population. So they have given you all the necessary information you need to carry out. And they have told you that the new plant is estimated to commence production in the first year with 1 million metric tons. That's the first production, which is expected to rise by 15% from year 2 to year 5. The price of a metric ton is of wheat in Nigeria currently stands at 57,000 naira. Cost of capital is projected to be 12%. That is what we are going to use for our investment appraisal. Should the examiner look that side? It depends on what the examiner is bringing. Then we have exhibit 11, is a supply contract from Bolakas Foods Concepts. Email from Bolakas. Bolade Kasim Food Concepts to West Johnson, Adalat Products Nigeria Limited. Supply order contract with your company. 20th October 2023. I'm pleased to inform that our restaurant board is very satisfied with food products you supplied to one of our restaurants during the last few months. And the thing has gone up to the terms of the contract. The restaurant board is requesting for a quantity discount of 10% off your normal selling prices. So they have given you all this. And they have even assured you that if this request is okay, they are going to continue it. They have told you that this will continue for the next 5 years. I think where did they mention? They mentioned it somewhere here. Okay, about the customer will accept. Let us know your management's reaction to the above terms. In good time, as Bolakas is ready to firm up this contract as soon as possible. I'll be grateful to receive your response to this request, which I believe makes business sense, being an additional revenue to your normal business. This paragraph, this particular paragraph, is very important for your contract. So they have told you that this means your company will be required to supply 500 bags of flowers every week for distribution to our various restaurants nationwide. And they have told you here that this contract is for 5 years. So that is for the contract. So then they have told you your boss have also gone ahead, or let's say maybe your examiner have also gone ahead to tell you the cost and pricing structure for this particular product. And they have told you that the factory cost per bag of flour for labor cost is this, for material cost is this, so then for overhead is this. Then Adalat Products Nigeria Limited to add 20% markup for all products made. And that's all about the remaining exhibits that we have added based on our own suggestion or projection for the unseen. So I've also calculated some computation here for the wheat plant projection. So you are going to go through it. Once you get it, it's very, very easy. Just our normal investment appraisal technique. And for the contract with Bolakas, I've also calculated this as your appendix 4. So this summarizes what you should do. So then after you have done this, just go to your reports. After you have summarized the first requirements, then you go here, then you write your heading, which is assessment of different business proposals for the consideration of the board. Evaluation of new wheat plants in Ota. So then you write it. I'm going to give you this. Then after you have stated the financial implication, the second paragraph here will be for any other ethical or commercial issues, even environmental issues, as the case may be, will be mentioned here. So then the second one is the contracts. Just put it as a subheading, contract with Bolakas. Food concepts. Then you write on it, you mentioned few ethical or commercial issues that can arise as a result of that. So that is how your requirement 2 would be. But because of the nature of requirement 2, we don't know what it will be. So I used to actually emphasize it on students that please maximize your strengths. Focus on your strengths on requirement 1 and make sure you report, you summarize it in your executive summary before you now start your requirement 2, so that you can save your time. 2 is that you have that rest of mind that, okay, yes, I finished this requirement 1, which can earn you some substantial mark. It's not that you will leave requirement 2 untouched, but at least you just write maybe few, depending on the time. That time may not be enough in the examination hall. So you just do a few things, just write it, and then make sure you sign off. The name that will be here, after the signature, just put any signature there. So assuming that, okay, you are writing this for your boss, so just write the signature there, and then you put the name. You can include the name of your boss there. Include the name of your boss, not your own name, because you are drafting it for your boss. So you include the name of your boss here. So, and after you have finished that requirement 2, then you go back to your executive summary. That spaces you have left, now summarize it there. Just summarize the major findings, 3 conclusions, then 3 recommendations out of the different many conclusions you have highlighted. Then you put it there. So once you are done, make sure that, okay, you use like that in 15 minutes. Make sure you have actually touched all the necessary aspects of the case. It's very, very important. So after the class, you will get the reports and the appendices, and also the recording version. For those people that are logging in and out, apologies for that. I actually asked someone, in fact, I paid some because I don't have a dollar card. So someone used to subscribe for us. So all the subscriptions that we have been using for our regular classes, someone has been doing it for us. So, and because of this case study, I actually asked the person to respond. I don't know. He's telling me that he has done this. Maybe there's a technical issue from Zoom themselves. So, but the good thing is that, okay, we are going to make the recording available. In summary of our class today, let me state again the necessary things that you need to do as far as case study is concerned. The first thing you need to do, once you get your answer, your question paper, go to the requirement 6, exhibit 6, and identify your requirements. Once you identify that, design your cover page. After the cover page, leave page 2 and 3 for your executive summary, go to page 4 and draft your introduction. After the introduction, start requirement 1. Excuse me. Start appendices. Do trend. After trend, shoot some bits of ratios. Then as you do them, please make sure you are reporting on them. Don't wait until you finish all the ratios. Time, you might not know. Time is passing by. Oh, you know, the examiner will just say, the invigilator will just say 30 minutes to go, and you may be disorganized. So, and that's why it's necessary to make sure that as you are doing those calculations, you are reporting on them. It's very, very important. Please, it's very, very important. So then after you finish writing or reporting on that requirement 1, summarize it in your executive summary. Leave space for that summary of requirement 2. Should, in case time permits you to come back, then start requirement 2. So after you finish requirement 2, then you can report, you can now summarize on that as well. So that's how you should go about it. It's very, very important. Do not forget. So in this juncture, so that we can get this report, the appendices, we can go through it on our own, work some things out, ask your necessary questions, go through the recordings once and again and again and again. We are going to draw the curtain of the class here so that I can accommodate question from now on till 6:30. So it can accommodate me, I can have the time to finish the reports, type the report out, then finish the remaining appendices, and then get them across to you for practice purpose. Thank you for your time. Thank you for attending this class. Yes, someone wanted to ask question. Yes, oh yeah, ask a question.
Okay, my question is, because of time frame and because of speed of we students, does it make sense if sorry, I'm talking about where the marks are required. Our appendix, if we're not able to finish up our appendix, but we're able to understand the question and try and have a good report, but our appendix, we're not able to finish it as maybe standard required.
Yeah, so there is no standard for appendix. In fact, the appendix is not required to be neat. Are you with me? Your appendix is not required to be neat. So your appendix, there is no standard. You can't finish appendix, that's just it. And that's why, as you are doing it, be reporting. So you can't finish. What do you want? You want to finish the trend or ratios? You can't finish. So that's why we are setting the standard for ourselves now to limit ourselves to some of the trends. You know what we want to go and do in the exam, or that, okay, this is what I will do. The examiner have given us some few ratios, like 3 ratios. You have mentioned it in the Preseen. You are doing that ratio, adding maybe some few ratios, maybe like 3 or 4, and you are reporting on it. Those are the things you are going to do. So you write more of reports. You can't finish appendix because the examiner will not tell you that this is the appendix you should do. It won't mention the tools to use. It's you that you determine it. So you can't finish it. So do more of reporting than calculation. Any other question?
Hello, sir.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I have a question. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. Galaxy Z.
Okay. It's okay. The first question is based on past solutions that I've come across. The first one, do we need to put a heading before the word executive summary? That is a summary of what we want to do, like a heading before the word executive summary. My second question is on professional skepticism. The solution I saw, there are professional skepticisms under each of the requirements, but from what you are giving us, I'm seeing it under the executive summary. Does it make any difference? Do we have to bring it in the requirements, then bring it to this executive summary, or ignore it in the requirements and bring it to the executive summary?
Okay, so let me address the first question. So the first question is about, what is it?
The heading of the executive summary.
The heading, just write executive summary. There's no other heading. Just write executive summary, that's all. As I'm displaying it here, can you see my screen?
Yes, yes.
Just write executive summary, scope and objective. Then summarize your introduction here. Assumption, that's all. You just write executive summary. There's no other heading. There's no other heading. So the second question about professional skepticism. Professional skepticism is different from ethical issues. Ethical issues is the one that correlates to any requirement or another. So that will be stated in the body of your reports. But professional skepticism is the reservation and limitation here. So you can't be stating it different at each. It will stretch the time. So there's no point in repeating. Just state it here. Fine. Those persons that have done it, they are okay, they are good as well, but you just need to maintain. You need to maintain one report so that you won't be confused. Do you get? So maintain one.
Yeah.
So there are different solutions out there. Just maintain one and use it.
It's okay.
Hello, sir.
The next question.
Sir, I have a
Yes.
question, sir. Yes, sir. Regarding the appendix.
Yes.
That trend appendix. I mean, is it possible I don't put all these figures like writing out the figure? I just press my calculator and get the ratio and just put it there because of time. Is it allowed?
And write on them, Abby.
Yes, sir.
It is allowed. So as you are pressing your calculator, you are reporting, right?
Yes, sir. But there's no need for me.
Mind you, if you are writing a number, and you will be referring to those numbers now. In practice, it is required that these numbers they are coming from somewhere.
Okay.
And that is the essence of attachments to reports, which is your appendix in this case. Are you getting it now? So do well for yourself. As you are writing those numbers, and you are maybe because of time, please at the back, just make sure you write some things out for appendix so that the examiner can mark them. It has marked. It has marked.
Good evening, sir. Okay, I have a question.
Okay, let me see the order of raising hand. Okay, this 8343, ask your question. Then after that, Temitayo, you will ask your question. Then after Temitayo, Samsung SM, ask your question. In that order, please, so that it will not, any other person that asks question, please raise your hand so that it won't be disruptive. Oh yeah, let's go. Let's go in that order. Mention someone to ask question. The person is not asking question. Okay, please, who is available? Ask your question.
Okay,
Sir, I
I have
wanted
a
to ask,
question.
is it necessary for us to...
After I've aligned how people will ask questions, you people did not talk. Now, 4 persons want to ask questions at the same time.
I have a question now.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is, a lot of emphasis have always been made on requirement 1. And
yes.
Requirement 2, I still want to find out, apart from maybe using the techniques you've mentioned, what are other possible techniques that may be suggested in case the unseen comes out, the possible techniques that may be, be required to use to analyze the business?
Okay, so let me mention. We do not know what the examiner will ask. And that's why we are limiting ourselves and trying all our possible best to maximize our time from what we know and what is certain that, okay, this one, we can get it done. Because the issue is that even if we bring several possibilities, okay, let's say the examiner could ask for loan, could ask of lease or buy, you could ask of mergers and acquisition. What if the one that the examiner asks, you do not know it? It's possible. You may not even know. It's like SFM. These are SFM and PM scenario questions that they are bringing into case study. One may enter that all and be reading it. And now bringing the numbers together may be difficult. For requirement 2, that's how it is. Even the examiners cannot guarantee. And I said the examiner, we the tutors, facilitators, that if you go into that examination hall, that in that 4 hours, you can, because it's time, before sometimes it will take you time before you realize that, this is what the examiner is saying, time don't go. So that's why we are saying that there is no, if we say, okay, possibility, the only possibility is saying that, okay, prepare for this question, prepare for this particular topic, prepare for this particular tool, the examiner may test it. What if you test it? At the end of the day, the numbers, you do not know how to place it. So that's why we are trying to be smart with our, and this approach, that's actually works for people. So if it works for that, actually works for other people, it works for you as well. So that's it.
So the next, okay, so my question, Temitayo,
okay,
question. So my question is there need for us to write the limitations of ratio?
Limitation of ratios. You may state it under your reservation. under a reservation and limitation. Just state a sentence here. Mind you, this is not a ratio question. So there's no point in you mentioning any ratio, but you can just mention, okay, ratio. I don't think it's necessary. It's not necessary. Leave it. Leave it. It's not necessary mentioning limitation of ratio.
Okay. Good evening, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, sir, please, I want to ask on this reservation and limitation. Is it okay if we put it before we start our major findings? Or it must be after our major findings?
No, there is no must too. There is no must.
Okay.
But from the reports I've actually seen in parties, most of them have come. Mostly they have actually come as the last part of executive summary. So that's all.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So we have 8 minutes to go. Chiamaka, you raise your hand.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, you made mention that this case study may not be a ratio case study. Now, how about the 3 ratios they mentioned over there?
So I did not mention that it may not be. We don't know what it will be. Yeah? We're only saying that the examiner may test you on financial statement analysis. So what we are saying is that you have known that in your Preseen, the examiner has mentioned some few ratios. So you will do those ratios and add some other ratios. So definitely you will use ratio. You will use ratio.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Please, sir, is there any suspectable model that could be asked looking at this question? Like just looking at the Preseen, is there any suspectable model? Like as we are preparing for this part, also looking into that as well.
As you are preparing your mind, so any successful, some people have actually made mention of value chain. Some persons have said, okay, SWOT is a universal model, so it could be used as well. Value chain, I don't see much of value chain in it anyway, because there's nothing like all this infrastructure or something in it. So maybe SWOT or PESTEL because of the external business environment, the Nigerian economic markets. So PESTEL as well may be useful, but SWOT is universal if the examiner is not specific. But mind you, like I've said, ratios or no model or no model, if the examiner does not ask you, please leave it. Don't bother yourself. Don't bother yourself. So, but those are the ratios. If the examiner asks, it may be specific. If it's not specific, use those.
Oh.
Next.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Please, I know you said this is just projections to what the question might look like. But if the scenario comes in that maybe requirement 2 is not about the assessment or propose any of the company name, is there another way it can go that would not, as in, get, is it like lose balance?
That's what I've mentioned. Any other way it will be is only the examiner that knows. It's only the examiner that knows. So how can I even put it? Disturb is ourselves if you are looking for too many possible ways. It is assumed that you have done performance management paper before you reach this level. So some level of assumed knowledge is expected in case study. Same thing, it is assumed that you are doing SFM, strategic financial management, side by side as you are in professional. So they expect you to have known all those things. So anything that comes is okay. So nobody can, this one will come, this one may, until it comes. And that's why you say that, if it does not come the way you like it, to maximize your effort on the one that you are sure of and do it properly. That's it.
Okay, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
My question is that about the mode of presentation. In the case of external reports, usually they suggest that the cover page, when you said you drafted the cover page, you will not write at the back of the next page. Then you take your executive summary in next page. Is it applicable in internal report as well?
You can't at the back. It's page by page. Page 1, cover page. Next page. Start here is for executive. Page 2 and 3 is for executive summary. So the whole of page 1 is for cover page. It's the same thing for both external and internal. Not about internal. It's for cover page. That's what your examiner states. Is that clear?
Okay.
The whole of page 1 for cover page.
Sir, concerning this,
please, someone else should ask a question.
sir, concerning the ratios, is it the examiner that will tell us the one to dwell most either on the trends or on the financial statement analysis itself, or we are going to we'll pick it on our own? We'll have to decide on our own which one to pick.
How the question comes. It depends on how the question comes.
Okay, sir.
So some questions, the examiner used to be specific. Some, they keep silence. So if they are specific about some metrics, use those metrics. If they are not, use the one that suits you.
Okay, I have a question, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
My question is that when you took us through the last, I think 2021 diet, when you were explaining the cover page, you said the external report is going to have, what is it called? The letterhead of the company and things like that. So for internal report now, are we also having something like a letterhead and that same format?
No. That's why I've done this. So there's no letterhead, there's no disclaimer. Just write a draft report, then this, that's all. There's no letterhead.
All right.
Preseen.
Thank you, sir.
You are welcome. So,
good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. I want to appreciate what you've done so far, and also these targeted ratios that have been mentioned by the examiner here. The return on equity is clear due to we have the formula, but this EBITDA over invested capital, working capital plus fixed capital. I don't know, how can we relate it? What name can we classify this under? And also, I can see this net debt over equity can be debt over equity ratio, which is under long-term solvency, I think so. But this other one, I don't know, how can we, so that we don't end up doing this same ratio in another format?
Okay, so I guess your question. So the examiner for ROE, that one, return on equity, you are using equity, that one is certain. But for the other two ratios, the examiner have given you the formula to use. This is the formula here. So you are not disturbing yourself. Just use this formula. They are giving you the formula. EBITDA over invested capital, and he has defined the invested capital he wants you to use. That's all. For net debt over equity, he said net debt. So if there is no net debt, then debt over equity is fine. They have defined it. So it's very simple.
Capital is clear. Which one is fixed capital, please? Working capital is clear.
So fixed capital is just your fees. If they have said fixed capital, that means it's fixed asset. That's what it means. That's what it means. So which means here working capital is current asset minus current liability, right? Then if they are said fixed capital, so we only understand it to be the non-current assets. That's all.
So,
yes.
Good evening, sir. Sir, can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Please, in our requirement 1, before you did the conclusions and recommendations, what we did was just the trend analysis and the ratios, and then giving explanation as to what happened, why they dropped or increased. And that was all we did before we now did the conclusions and recommendations. So I want to ask, is there any other thing we could do before these conclusions so that it can just be trend and ratios, since the trend might not even be requested, might not be required from the requirement, and it might not feature us marked like that. So what other things can we
It's a requirement too. That's what I'm trying to say.
and recommendations in
And
requirement
you mentioned
requirement too.
someone is disturbing, is asking question. Is it a question? I'm attending to one question, please. A question at a time. Let me attend to this last question. So this person mentioned that trend might not fetch you more mark. Who said that, please? Is that your assumption? Can the person answer, please? We need to correct that impression. So I don't think I've mentioned that over this call, that trend might not fetch you more mark. I don't know where that one is gotten. So all we have said here is that your requirements, the examiner may be specific of the tools to use and say, okay, maybe use these financial indicators or metrics. So in that case, use them. If the examiner is not specific and it says, analyze the financial performance, there is nothing you use to analyze the financial performance of an organization than trend and ratio. There is no other thing that you fetch you mark. So I don't know where the notion has come, but that notion, it's not correct. So trend and ratios, we fetch you good mark. And this report we have written, this report we have actually written here, all this makes a lot of sense, and it will give you good mark for you to pass. So whether there is other necessary thing, in fact, doing this it might take you time than you think in the examination hall. You don't think it will be as easy as that. We are not writing it out, and we are not typing. It's already typed. We only going through it. So that time that one will be thinking that you might have in the examination, you might not have it too. And that's why we are using this approach to say, okay, do what you know best.
Okay,
so the examiner will not be specific. It may not be specific. And if it's specific, use what you're asking for. So okay, go ahead with your question.
In the absence of giving us in the exam, like if they didn't specify the indicators we should work on, like how many minimum trends can we compute for both the trends and ratio?
I've mentioned it. I said limit it to what I've done. And if time permits you to do more than that, do it. Mind you, your calculations only carry 10 marks. Go and write it somewhere. I've seen some people that will come to me and say, I did all the trend. I did trend. You are doing trend of financial position, trend of this. At the end of the day, time will not permit you to report on them. So do less of the calculation. That's why we are giving you this as a basis to say, okay, if you can limit this, these are 2 exhibits. So if you are able to report on this will not take you less than 2 hours. Go and write it down in the under exam condition. Because we are writing, in fact, after you get this solution, this report, what I used to recommend is that you should write it out with your hand in your book, both report and appendices. Just try it. Sit down and write it out. It will take you more than 4 hours before you will finish it. So it's something that it will fetch you mark. That's just it. So someone was asking a question the other time. Oh, yeah, ask a question.
Yes, I want to ask the question on presentation. Now, you know, when you type, you can those 2 major requirements, you make it bold, while the other sub ones can be small. But when you are writing, is it okay to use capital for the two major requirements?
It's
Why
fine.
the other
It's
one?
fine. It's fine.
Okay.
You
Then
can
the
use
second
capital,
one.
you can underline. It's fine.
Okay.
Anyhow.
Then the other one, you know, here you are using bullets. Is it okay to use 1.0, 2.0? That's a number.
So
Is it okay?
my challenge with using 1.0, 1.11, 1.12 is that you may lose track of those numbers and it might confuse you. So there's no extra mark for it. So, but in case of bullets, you can use Roman numerals, you can use AB, you can use 1, 2, anyhow. But that 1.0, 1.11, 1.211, all those ones, to confuse you, you are not writing projects. So just do not bother. So this is an exam scenario. So yes.
Yes, sir. As regards time management, sir, I just want to ask two questions. Number one, in the case of in the exam situation,
okay,
I think I've seen one or two people that use some materials, pass diets, and they said they only did requirement 1 and they passed the exam. So in terms of managing our time, maybe when you are still doing your requirement 1 and you are in almost close to 2 hours, is it possible to lay more emphasis on requirement 1, then just play with the second requirements before time goes? And then what do you suggest in that area? And then number 2, is it possible to use? I know we are still going to send us a test. Regarding the solution that you have done here, is it possible for you to do it to do it such a way that it will address possible questions that people will ask in such a way that when you are holding it in your hand, you are holding a possible solution in your hand that you can just sit down with it. If you want to read it, cram it, go do what you want to do, and you go away.
Okay, so like what we are saying is that I've mentioned it, and we are only providing something for practice and something that is applicable. This solution is something that is, that's why the page is not much, maybe like 8 pages, 7 pages out. I'm going to reduce this to 7 pages at most, so that you can write it out before exam. I want you to write it out. Some people, I will give them, they will go and read, they will be glancing through. No, you will write. It's not writing, you will write in the exam hall. Start writing now, so that when you reach the examination hall, you will continue writing, and you write good. So we have seen cases of people that have used requirement 1 and they have passed. So they have, and what they have done is simple. I've mentioned it. After you finish your requirement 1, write executive summary on it. Not writing executive summary at all is total failure. That's just it. So summarize something. If you are not doing any executive summary at all, maybe because of time, because requirement 2 has taken your time and you do not now have time to do that summary, you might fail. That's why we are saying that after requirement 1, do summary. So people have done that, they have followed that, and they have passed. And 2 is that do not do too much of calculation. As you calculate reports, and on that requirement 2, it's not that maybe you don't have idea at all. You have idea. So read it, even if you not do too much calculation, just put some things down. Don't leave it blank. Don't leave some things blank, even if it's calculation, even if the calculation is not correct, report on it. Punch your calculator, write it down. Write the report. Hey, based on this, I see it as this. We are professionals, for crying it out loud. We have been doing PM, we have been doing SFM. We know all these things. It's just for you to be able to analyze, analytical skill. So if you do that, you will pass. That's just have that mindset that, okay, you know what you want to do. The only thing that may affect is the time management. And we have actually analyzed how to manage the time here. And how is that once you get your question, go to your requirements page, identify your requirements, set up your cover page, leave page 2 and 3 for executive summary, go to your page 4, do your introduction, that's requirement 1. Finish requirement 1 and do executive summary on it before starting requirement 2. If you do that, you manage your time perfectly. So let me take 2 last questions. Then all other questions, we can handle them in the group so that I can finish this report and you guys can have it tonight and start working on it. Yes?
Okay,
the
sir.
first one.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
It's okay for the questions.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Mine is not question. No, I'm just joining.
Oh.
Please, question. Let's move on.
Apologies for that. We are going to make available the recording for those people that were not able to join due to one reason or the other. And by that time, everybody can just sit down on it and watch them over and over. So, so go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so let me take the last question. So we will make the recording available. The last question.
Sir.
And if there's no other question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So please, I want you to give me, there are some books that said there is no, IAS 41 does not cover burial plants. And some said it do. So I want you to just at least give me a brief up about it, about IAS 41.
Okay, I think that's a CR question, right? It can't be for this case study.
I think this is a manufacturing, I said manufacturing, this is more or less like an agricultural something.
Yes, it is. But like I said, I've said it earlier, that they will not be asking you direct question on biological assets or burial plants. Are you getting it? So that one is just part of their financials that they have included it. It makes up their assets. So they will not be asking us, how does burial plant has to be treated? Because even me, I did not read it because I have not writing exam. I don't read burial plants. So that one, except I will now go back now and read it. Because for our case study, for our case, we do not need to be looking for treatment of how biological assets will be treated as for IAS 41 or burial plants. It's not actually necessary because the examiner will not be asking us this. They will not be asking us. So that's their financials, and that's what it has been used to prepare. So what we need is, okay, it's making up the assets, okay. So just use it, calculate your ratio or trend as the case may be. They may not be asking you the right question on how burial plants will be treated on this. So, but that one, I'm going to check it, but it might not be necessary for this report. It might not be necessary. Okay. Having said that, on a close mention, let me appreciate us all for this decorum, for the trust you have in Apex professionals, believing in God, and that, okay, with these classes we have done, you believe and you hope, being optimistic that, okay, this case study and other papers you are writing, we are going to pass them. So that's number one. Number two is that please, the guidance we have given as regards how some papers have to be attempted, like this case study now, I've actually mentioned on how you should attempt, because if someone is doing it for the first time and it's not buoyant, or maybe you have seen different solutions and you are confused, just maintain one and go by it. So by the time you get your question paper, what should you do? We have said it. Just follow that. And more importantly, you need to be careful of not doing too much calculation. Do not be carried away by doing too much calculation. Please, it's very, very important. So many people have come and say, this thing has actually affected them, it has affected them. Please do less of the calculation and report more on them. So that's aside. And for other courses as well, your CR lecturer said he will create time for you. I'm going to follow up on him to see whether that will be achievable, and so also your SFM lecturer. So he's still maintaining that he will have a final revision for you guys. Apologies for the fact that he could not cover up. So he also lectures in Abuja, and he works 9 to 5 as well. So the time has not been very, 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 very buoyant and enough for him to cover up. Thank you all for this diet. These diets, we pray that you are going to record a lot of success in these classes. Please ask your questions. Send your questions to the group, as many as possible you can. The questions you're asking now is better. So if you're asking the questions now, nobody to ask in the examination hall. So please, as the question has come into your mind, send them to me personally. Ask your question, make sure you point the calculator, write it out. Once you get your report, make sure you write it out. As you are writing it out, you are going through it. Anything that you do not understand, you ask from now. So, and make sure you get clarity as times goes, as before the examination hall. We pray that God will grant us count our effort with success, grant us success in this our exam that we want to go and write, and then make us succeed in all our endeavors. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Apologies for the inconveniences that this
Thank you, sir.
capacity of
Thank you, sir.
So I hope we get the material.
recording
I hope we get the
after the
material.
class.
Okay, great.
We will
Immediately.
get it this evening. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to finish
Yes,
it.
sir.
You get it.
Both the unseen, the unseen,
Yes.
Both the
Yes, the
seen and
unseen. We have
unseen,
sent it to the
please.
group. So the
Okay, sir.
materials, the solution and the appendix, you will get it, and the recording. Don't worry, you will get it.
Right,
After
okay,
this,
thank
I will
you.
convert it and send it to you guys. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you.
sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
I wish you
Okay.
success.
See you during induction, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
I will be looking forward to see you during the induction,
No,
sir.
okay, we will see. We will see. Oh, at our
During
induction,
induction.
I'll be attending one
Yes,
induction
now.
in December. So your own. I want to attend your own induction. All of you guys. Induction.
Thank you.
We will see by the
May
grace of God.
come in May and going forward very soon. I will make time. I will make out
Amen.
time and come.
Thank you, sir.
By God's grace. I will make out time and come.
Sure.
By God's grace.
God bless you.
Thanks so
God
much.
bless you. God bless you.
I will always be there for you guys. We will celebrate.
Thank you, sir. You're too much, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, good night. Take care.
Good night, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Good night. Good night. Good night.
Ay,